Hi guys, let me know if you can see me, if you can hear me. I got into a bit of a technical glitch for a minute there. Okay, looks like you can hear me, you can see me. Awesome, thank you. Thank you, Sunit. All right, so today's topic is very interesting and something that I believe can help everyone who has communication, written communication as part of their job, which probably is pretty much everyone, right? Because as part of our job, we either write email or give presentation or maybe write articles, posts, or do some kind of proposal presentation, idea presentation, so on. And basically, content is something that we create. So from that perspective, I am hoping that this session is going to be very helpful for everyone. So just help me understand what you do for a living, so I can tune the content, specific to your job profile. So if you in the chat, if you can tell me what do you do for a living, maybe manager, marketer, programmer, or doctor, lawyer, whatever you are, if you can type that in. I have a little bit of direct sunlight falling here, so I'm just trying to make sure you can see me okay. Okay, Siti, so the okay, freelancer, marketer. So pretty much everyone has to create content, right? Um, so the topic here is employer to employee and everyone in between. Why you must learn content writing. Like I said, content writing is essential, and so is copywriting. And these are two words which probably are interused, or used one while meaning the other. So we'll talk about what each one does and how does it relate to what we do. And before that, I want to tell you um, what I'm going to, or what is the source of information that I'm sharing on this session today. Um, some of you may know, who have attended my earlier live streams, know that I've been in corporate for 15 years. And then in 2013, I quit and started my own online education company, as part of which I began helping project managers pass a certain exam. And in order to make that business work in the busy online space, I had to learn digital marketing and authority building, so on and so forth. And in the last 9 years, I have been, as part of this, creating content every single day. It could be writing business emails, or blog posts. I've written over 600 blog posts so far across 2 domains. I've published 21 books, 17 of them on Amazon, and the rest of them on my own blog uh, as part of my initial offering of content sales. I've created over 40 hours of video content across 6 courses that I have on my online school. And I write pretty much every day on social media. So I have product pages, sales pages. So one or the other way, I have to write content, and I've been writing it every day. And I made a lot of mistakes. And I've been fortunate enough to also learn from some of the best in the industry. So as part of this learning, whatever I've learned to be working is something that I'm going to share today. So by the end of this session, you should have, a clear understanding of what principles to keep in mind while creating content, and a specific approach which works very, very well in terms of increasing the effectiveness of your written communication, as well as the content goal that you have, in which you can hit it. So also at the end of this session, I'm going to share the mind map that I have created covering all these things that I've told you now. Um, uh, so you can download it, you can keep it as a reference, and you can use it in your content creation efforts. So that's the promise of this session. So let's talk about the couple of words we used, right? Content writing and copywriting. You know, what is the difference? When we talk about copywriting, there is also another word that is typically used. It's called copyright. Copyright, the word here is, the spelling is RIGHT, copyright, right? That is different from copywriting. And as you know, it basically establishes the ownership of a content that you've created. The content could be a book, an image, a photograph, artwork, anything creative, right? You own the ownership of that piece of content, and that is copyright. You protect it using the copyright laws. Copywriting, on the other hand, where the right is WRITING, right? Read that word. Copywriting refers to words, refers to copy. And a copywriter basically creates content which is persuasive to their reader. The other word that we saw is content writing, right? Which is basically, again, words, the content that we write, and the content writer produces the content to inform the readers. So the key words here is copywriting has the persuasiveness about it, and content writing basically informs, some information to the reader. Now, what if you could combine these two, right? What if you can write your content, be it for an email, a sales email, or it could be a sales presentation. What if you combine these two and create that content in a very persuasive way? Then that is very powerful, right? And that's exactly what we are going to see in the session today. And you can see that when you combine these two, your content is going to be persuasive and it's going to be effective, in the sense, any content that you write, it has a recipient, right? And you expect them to take some action. If it's a sales presentation, maybe you want the the other party to buy from you. If it is an email, maybe you want the other person to respond to you with the next step, right? If it's a blog post, maybe you want them to take action in terms of leaving a comment or sign up for your email list, newsletter, etc., right? So that will be very effective. That goal you will be able to reach. So that's basically how we go about combining these two. And the core thing that we must remember to do a good job at content writing from the copywriting perspective is this, the core principle. It's called WIIFM. And let me know if you can give me the full form of this. It's a very interesting thing. WIIFM. It means what's in it for me, right? And that is very powerful. Anybody who engages with their content, they are engaging with some specific reason. They are looking to get something out of it, and that is the reason they are engaging with their content. So we have to keep that in mind. If I'm writing an email, I need to keep in my mind what is that the reader of this email is going to get from this email. If it's a presentation, what is it that the when I present, people who see this, what is it that they're expecting for? uh, Most often what happens is we come from our perspective as to what we know, what we want to write and all that, and we uh, don't really keep in mind what is the real expectation from the recipient. And hence, if you can just keep this one thing in mind all throughout the duration of content creation, what's in it for me, for your reader or the recipient from their perspective, then automatically the content will be more appealing to them, right? So that's very, very essential. That's core principle. And how we can do this is very simple. The more we understand the recipient of our content, the better we can write it for them. So let's take an example. This live stream is a content that I'm creating right now, as we are doing this. And my goal with this live stream is to share specific steps, a specific framework with you so that you can take action on it. So that's my goal. So how do I do this? Right at the beginning, I tell you the promise from this live stream, that I'm going to share a framework, I'm going to share a principle and best practices. So it's very clear what you're going to get. And also, some of this might have piqued a curiosity. If you have had any challenge creating the content, you may be interested to know, okay, what is this framework he's going to share? That piquing the curiosity is also essential. And as an incentive, I told that I'm going to give the link to download the mind map where all this content that I'm going to talk about, I've laid it out. So that is another way of telling you that you're going to get what you want. And the fact that we are going to interact a lot, we will have a Q&A session also where I'm going to answer all your questions, clear your doubts to the best of my ability. That is also something that is in your best interest. So that is how you can sort of keep the interest of the recipient of your content in mind. And the more you understand them, the better you can create the content to address that. Right now, exactly what you need to know about them might depend on the content that you're creating, right? If, for example, if it's a sales page, then you need to know the demographics, you need to know the age, gender of your ideal customer, right? The location, their interests, their dreams, their fears, their value system, their spending habits, all these things you may need to understand to write it very, very, specific to them, as if you're talking to them one-on-one. If it's a B2B sales email or proposal, then you need to know what exactly is their core problem, how your business or service can solve them, right? And what is their budget. These are some of the things that you need to know. So based on the content that you're creating, you need to understand what are these things that I need to know about the person or people that I'm going to share this content with. So with that, let us move to the 5-step framework that we're going to talk about. And I hope you're making some notes. Even if you're not, don't worry. Like I said, I'm going to give the entire, very detailed email mind map with you. I'm going to share with you at the end of this session, so you can just refer it or take a printout and keep at your desk to refer it whenever you create the content. So the framework has basically 5 steps. Very, very simple, but very, very effective 5 steps. First step is to identify your goal, right? What I mean by this is your content has a goal, like we talked about earlier. If it is an email, if it is sales email, then the goal could be to get a response from them and to take them to the next step. If it's a blog post that you're writing, then the goal could be for them to leave a comment, or the goal could be for them to sign up for your newsletter. If it is a SaaS product that you are writing the content about, an article, then the goal could be for them to book a demo, right? If it's a sales presentation, then straightforward. The goal could be to elicit the sales, for them to buy your product or service. If it's a, lead capture page, or landing page, as we say, then the goal is for them to give you their email ID in exchange for your lead magnet. So identifying goal for the type of content that you're creating, that is the first step. And the second step is to create the structure. Now, chances are that your organization already may have structure defined, to create the content. But if it is not, then you have to create this structure. Now, what do we mean by structure? Anything typically has a beginning, a body, and an end, right? Now, again, specific to your content, the steps, the structure may vary. Let me give you an example. If it's a blog post, so right off the bat, at the beginning, you will highlight the benefit that the reader is going to get from your blog post, because we know the attention span is very less. People will be browsing all the time. If the first two sentences do not tell them what they're going to get from this blog post, they may not read it. So after the benefit, maybe you want to talk about the credibility of you. Now, why you are saying this? Like at the beginning of this conversation, I told you that for the last 9 years, I've created over 40 hours of video content, written 600 plus blog posts, 21 books. So that's the credibility part, where I'm saying I have lived through this, and I have had my moments of failure and success, and that is what I'm bringing to this conversation. So that is where you establish the credibility. Then you will write the core content, the core promise of your blog post, and then you will probably do a summary and a call to action, right? So if it is an let's say landing page, where you want the reader to give their email ID and download your lead magnet, it could be an ebook or something, then there the benefit driven title and all the benefits that they will get, individual bullet pointed benefits that they will get from the lead magnet, and the call to action, right? If it is a product page, then you will want, of course, the structure will be benefit driven headline, then maybe image of the product, and then the benefits, some social proof, and then call to action, that is buy, the buy button, and maybe some more social proof, some more objection removal FAQs, and then again the CTA, right? The call to action or the buy button. So that could be the structure. So if it is a presentation, right? If it's a sales presentation, then it could be introduction, the problem statement, the solution, and then how you are positioning your service or your product as the solution, and then the next step that they need to take, right? So based on the content type, you will have the structure, because once you have the structure, you will not be missing out on anything. Then it is only a matter of filling in the content, which is the third part of the framework, fill in the content. Now, when you fill in the content, there are few things that you have to keep in mind. I'm going to let some more light in from the window. A few things that you keep in mind when you talk about filling the content. First one is empathy. Your service or your product is going to solve a problem for your reader or your buyer. So whatever solution you're giving, whatever content you're presenting, if you come from the perspective of empathy, understanding what problem they are going through and how your solution is going to help them with, then that gives you an undertone to your content, which is very receptive, which is going to be very receptive, right? The other thing that you want to consider while creating or filling in the content is establishing your credibility. Why should they trust you? Of course, in the funnel, there will be other things outside of this content creation where a little bit of credibility is established as well, but it is always a good point to remind them why you are the ideal choice for them to engage with. Third thing that you keep in mind is stories, right? The content has to have stories. In the beginning, I told you a little bit of my story. I quit the corporate world and started on my own. So anything that people can relate to, in terms of story, resonates well with people. So see if you can include stories. The success stories of your customers, if you're talking about the product presentation, that will help as well. The fourth thing is brevity. That is, don't add too many information which may not be relevant in the context of that particular content. Keep it as short as needed or as long as needed, whichever way you look at it. So brevity is important. And of course, the benefits, sprinkle benefits every now and then so they know that, this is how the promised land is going to look when I engage with this person's content and by extension, maybe product or service. So empathy, credibility, stories, brevity, benefits, right? These are the things that we keep in mind. Why? Filling in the content, which is step number 3 in our framework, right? So if you remember, identifying the core content goal is the step number 1. Second step is to create the structure. Then third step is to fill with the content. Fourth step, I'm just calling it out. It is not something new, is call to action. We've already talked about call to action in our structure, but I'm calling it out separately. Call to action is so important. A lot of research has been done, and people have figured out that instead of just submit on the button name, if you keep it with the benefit driven verb such as download the report, right, send me the course detail, that kind of a text on the button, if you keep, then the conversion is much higher. So call to action has to be thought about very clearly and distinctively from other content creation work, simply because this is where the conversion happens, right? Like we talked about, if it is email, in the end we will tell them about the next step. If it is a blog post, in the end we will tell them to either leave a comment or sign up for the newsletter, etc. So give a lot of thought to the CTA, call to action. And a best practice I have seen which works is when the call to action is very close to the benefit, right? Based on the content that you are delivering, the benefit when you highlight, if the CTA is very next to it or immediately after that, then the conversion is much higher. So that's the fourth point, which is call to action. And the fifth thing is, fifth part in the framework is to test. The moment we have this content created, we just don't want to take it to the end user, right? If it's a email, maybe run by a colleague. If it's a book, then run by the beta readers. Or you can run your content through a focus group. Or if it's a landing page, you can always do A/B testing, right, and see which one works with a small traffic. Or you can run the content by your colleagues and get their feedback. So any kind of test really helps. That's one thing that I've seen. I've had beta readers for a couple of my initial books. Right now I'm creating a software for which I have a beta testers. So the feedback that you get from these people is invaluable. You can probably increase your effectiveness of the final delivery of your content a lot by just having some amount of some kind of test before you release the content. So this is the 5-step framework that we talked about. Let me see if there are any questions. I still have to, I want to share some best practices with you that you can use. So Deep asks, can you repeat the steps and points? Yes, the 5-point framework that we talked about is identifying the content goal, creating the structure for your content, filling it with content, using the 5 things that we talked about, keeping in mind empathy, credibility, stories, brevity, and benefits, and having the right call to action, and finally testing. Like I said earlier, I'm going to share the mind map with all these details. Last time I tried talking as well as typing with the mind map, and it was not syncing well. I'm not somebody who can talk and type at the same time. So this time I thought, let me just run by this, highlighting and stressing on the points, and then I'll let you have the um, mind map to go over. All right. So let me see any other questions before we move to the best practices. Any tips for writing for ads? Yeah. See, one thing I've seen is you can have different types of ads, right? Based on the platform, based on the type of ad, you will have some restrictions. Um, I have created ads on banners. I've created ads on Facebook. These are two medium which I have sort of written small, direct ads, and both of these come with their own restrictions in terms of how many characters you can use, what kind of images you can use, so on and so forth. So understanding the platform's restrictions is the first step, right? But in terms of generic, it is always driven by benefit, right? You can uh, see the main thing that an ad does is it captures the attention, so that people will engage with the ad, and then it gives them some kind of incentive or something to click on, and then it takes them to the landing page, right? So image is something which definitely helps capture the attention, but then you need to use an image which is congruent with the landing page that they are going to land on when they click on the ad, right? So that is very important. Otherwise, it will be like a clickbait, wherein they look at an image, read what is there, click and land, and it will be something different that they didn't expect. Then you may have click through rate, but you will have people bouncing off your page, which is not a good thing. So have a relevant image, and that's the second point. First point is understand the restrictions of the platform where you are doing that. Second thing is have an image which is catchy and relevant. Third thing, of course, is the title, which has to be benefit driven. I mean, there are two ways you can broadly do this: highlight a benefit or highlight a fear. uh, I have seen, and I've also seen the research, and I've seen in my own experience that fear-based ads are not very. They're not comfortable. You're basically um, sort of pushing them to click, and then the conversion I have not seen. I haven't seen as good as a benefit-driven title. Again, people make the mistakes of highlighting the feature in the ad of your product or service, but by highlighting the benefit instead of feature, you will see that the conversion is much higher, because uh, uh, the benefit basically answers the thing that we saw, the principle, what's in it for me, right? WIFM. So a benefit directly talks to that part of the brain. So people tend to get attracted towards that. And then again, there also CTA will be there. CTA is very essential on the ads. The button or whatever is there, the CTA, it has to be relevant, thoughtful, and not just click here or subscribe or anything like that. So these four aspects I would say as far as the ads are concerned. So keep sending your questions. I'll take them in the end. So let me talk about the best practices, right? Now, again, this is relevant to the content that you're creating. But then these are some generic best practices that I have been following all along, that I've learned from others, I've learned from my mistakes, and these are the ones that I'll share with you. First of all, you have to find the stalwarts in your domain. Um, if it is ads, then the best of the ad writers. If you're writing a book, best of the authors in your book's genre, right? If it is presentation, the best of the sales gurus, best of the sales presentators, right? uh, find them out, follow their work. Nothing beats this, you know following their work and understanding how they are doing it and learning from them is very, very helpful. All right, now I'm switching to artificial light. Okay. So that's one best practice that I've utilized, learning from people who have been doing this for a long time. The second thing I have seen that works fantastic is to actually write down. I know most of us do most of our writing on computer, on laptops, but when you see a great copy, and if you write that down on paper, there is something that some connections that happen, and it sort of helps your creative process of copywriting. uh, you know the other thing you can do is write every single day. Even if your job does not require you to write every single day, have a 20 to 30 minute slot just to write on some topic that interests you, or some topic that is related to your job. um, every single day, it's like exercising. You're building your muscle. So when you write every day, you will be building that muscle as well, which helps you creatively write the content. And the other thing I've seen is, typically you vary the sentence length, have a mix of uh, small, medium, and long sentences, and uh, that has some kind of catchiness about it. People otherwise may find it very monotonous if all the sentences, if the all tone, everything is of the same duration. So mix and match, have the varied length, and it does help. And the other thing is, know the tone of your writing. What I mean by this is, most of us enjoy when we have a conversation, right? And hence we have seen that for most of the niches or most of the domains, when you write in a conversational tone, it resonates well with your audience. um, of course, there are exceptions. If you are doing something for the government, or law, those domains where, or maybe academics, where conversational tone is not very much appreciated, there you have to take that tone, maybe a little formal tone. So identify the tone that your target audience is using, most comfortable with, and make use of that tone in your content. So that is very, very essential, right? The other thing that helps is, whenever you create a content, imagine one ideal customer or ideal reader or your recipient sitting in front of you, and as if you're doing it for that person. That really helps you to choose the words, choose the sentences, active, passive voice, all that, which um, feels for the recipient that this person is talking to me. So having that tone is essential, and having, imagining the ideal recipient in front of you is very essential as well. So these are some of the best practices that has helped me over the years, and I hope they help you as well. um, and when we talk about doing these practices, you need to have some sources, right? So you can follow some people, if you're especially if you're specifically talking about copywriting. There are people like Dan Kennedy, Jay Abraham, Gary Halbert, right? David Ogilvy, from Ogilvy and Mather. So these are people who have written phenomenal amount of content. um, if you're talking about tools, on browser we have Grammarly. Grammarly helps us create content, or it automatically suggests mistakes in our writing. So you have browser extensions for with Grammarly. Hemingway app is another thing which I have found very useful, where they say that if you want to write content which is understood by most people, you should write it to the level of a sixth grader or an eighth grader can understand. And Hemingway app basically gives you this kind of yardstick when you copy paste your content into Hemingway app, and you can refine the content from there. There are some great books, like I talked about Ogilvy. Ogilvy on advertising is a book that is fantastic. The Ultimate Sales Letter by Dan Kennedy. Of course, you can find a lot of them. I have a resource list link, which I will share in the mind map, where you have it's the one of the largest, very well curated collection of resources you can use for honing your copywriting skills that I have come across. So I was very much impressed by it. So I've included in the mind map, which you can use. So let me go back and open up for Q&A. If you have any questions, I'll answer them. Okay, Nikhil asked, do you use any online tools to ensure using right keywords in the copy? Like I said, Grammarly and Hemingway app helps you write in simple, understandable English, but it may not do the keyword suggestion, because keywords are very specific to your niche, your domain. But I've seen that it does suggest the alternate keywords or alternate words when you use the same word again and again. If you keep using the word need, then at some point of time it will say, do you want to replace this with the word require, right? So that kind of thing. But keywords, if you meant by keywords, those your niche or domain specific keywords, then probably no, I don't know any generic tools which can give you specific to your niche. There may be specific tools in your industry, in your niche, which does this job. Maybe Googling a little bit can help you identify if there are any. Okay, Shresh asks how to handle sales copywriting and which is better, long form or short form. There are multiple schools of thought on this. We have seen for a few decades now that sales forms have been very long, like 6, 7, 8 pages all in one page, and then you keep scrolling. But then there are many people who, even stalwarts, even to this day, they live by this form of long copywriting. But then there are also other school of thought where they say you convert this long page into multiple smaller pieces and then deliver across the days or across videos, etc. So they call it, I think, sideways sale form or something like that. But then I think there are thumb rules, but what really works for you, I think, depends on the experimentation. I don't have either or any specific preference. I think it's very subjective, and it depends on probably the niche, the target audience, the nature of the product. Like if it's a product is if the problem is very drastic, and then the product is already well known, then you don't probably need a long sales letter. Just right at the top with the initial couple of benefits, people will convert because they probably already know about the product, right? So it really depends, and it varies. The best thing is to do some experimentation, do A/B testing, and see which works better. Which are free SEO tools that are best for copywriting? There are many, but the one that I use is by Neil Patel. It's called Ubersuggest. It's a fantastic thing for identifying keywords. The previous question, right? Identifying keywords, identifying The SEO related statistics, even the backlinks. It's tremendous tool. It's by Neil Patel. It is called Uber Suggest. So that is something that I highly recommend, that I use on a daily basis. So I recommend that as well. Yes, it is effective for searching keywords as well. Uber Suggest. Let me type it here. Okay. So I don't see any more questions. So let me give you the link where you can download the mind map that we talked about. So subscribepage.com/copywriting mind map. That is the one that you can download. And if you want to know more about this or anything about me, or if you want to talk to me, if you want to ask for any help, I'm more than willing. You can reach me from Linktree. I'm posting that link here, linktr.ee/Shiv Shannon. So this is where you can reach me, reach my courses. You can book, free consult with me. And I would recommend, if you are on LinkedIn, reach to my profile, click on the bell icon there, send a connect invite. Let's get in touch. LinkedIn is something that I write every day on. I interact a lot with people on LinkedIn. So that's about it. You can download this mind map, and I think you can make use of this for your day-to-day content writing. If any questions, please reach out to me. I'll see you in another such live stream session soon. Take care. Bye.